So, I am back for the third time this morning. But like I said, I got some things I want to talk about, and I want to talk about them. I want to get it off my chest and off my head, and I don't know, I just want to talk about it. So, Chaska, Minnesota. Yeah, it's been an interesting place, to say the least. Bottom line, I love it here. I do. I didn't want my kids growing up in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago, and, life was pretty rough for me. I've seen things, been a part of things. I've experienced a lot that I didn't want my kids to experience. We moved to Minnesota 12 years ago, and we were in North Minneapolis, and we got away from there as quick as we could. Then we went to Brooklyn Center, and it was fine at first, and then that started to go downhill. So we wanted somewhere that's far, but not too far, and we found Chaska. Life here was pretty quiet at first. We didn't know anyone for maybe the first 2 or 3 years that we were here, maybe. But we stayed to ourselves, That's how we liked it. We had friends that came over every once in a while, and, we were cool with that. And Chaska was quiet. It was completely different from what I know. So it was hard for me to sleep for a little while because it was so quiet here. First move here, we didn't hear like police sirens, fire trucks. We didn't hear anything. Yeah, it was weird to me too. Super weird. But it also gave us the opportunity, and our kids the opportunity, for me and my wife to let them go outside and play, and just let them go outside and play. In Chicago, we have this unspoken rule. If you don't hit the kids, something's wrong. So you got to hit the kids, or you got to have an eye on the kids, or just you got to know what's going on with the kids at all times. Chaska has given us that experience of what life should actually be like. Kids should go out and play. They should be able to ride their bikes. Parents shouldn't have to worry all the time if they don't hear the kids, if they don't see the kids. Well, we'll worry anyway, because we're parents, is what we do for our kids. We worry. The moment they're out the door, we worry until the moment they get back. But Chaska has been a family, So I'll explain in detail why I say this. So there's an ugliness that Chaska has. There is racism here. And last year, it showed up at the kids' school. It was horrible. We had talked to our kids about racism, but we've never had those conversations on what to do if you're ever targeted with racism. That was something I wasn't ready for. I wasn't prepared for it. But the ugliness has shown up. They were confused because they were demeaned by speaking against wanting some other curriculum other than like a white history being taught. they wanted to know why they didn't have anything going on, during Black History Month. So this girl created a group, and they made pictures, posters, and they were turned down because of Malcolm X, Tamir Rice. So one thing that I told my kids is that there's no history that's pretty. There's no history that looks good. No matter whose history it is, there's some ugliness in it. There's some just things that are downright horrible. And if they wanted to tell them horrible things about Black history, it's part of their history. It's part of their culture. That's what they're asking for. They're asking to be taught. Now, my kids don't have a problem with Black history because they know a lot about Black history. But they wanted it to be taught in schools. They wanted something to be shown that represents them in school, and they were denied. So they did a protest. So with that protest, they was not saying Black Lives Matter. They was not saying that anybody's lives doesn't matter. Their chant was Black history, uncensored. Uncensored, which is their right. The biggest problem with that protest, now I'm not a big fan of protests, so I didn't really want them to do it, but if that's them speaking up, I'm all for it. But there were 3 white guys that carried a sign that said all lives matter, which completely missed the concept of what these kids were trying to accomplish, or what they were speaking about, or what the whole protest was about. It wasn't about Black Lives Matter. It was about teaching something other than white history. And why is there something in school about Black history? Simple, right? No, actually it's not. No one got it here. Absolutely no one got it here. The racial incidents had already started. My kids hadn't been targeted yet. But those had already started. Then they're denied for posters. And if you want to say not Tamir Rice, I kind of understand that, but not really. I don't. But you don't want Malcolm X on a poster? Yeah, I don't know why. It's controversial. Yes, so what? Malcolm X hated America. No, he didn't. Malcolm X hated white people. No, he did not. Malcolm X was a Muslim. Yes, he was. So what? He was a thug. Malcolm X made bad choices. He found the Nation of Islam. He changed his life. He never had a problem with speaking to white people, but he felt like at first the Nation of Islam wasn't for them. And then he took his trip and he saw different races that was a part of being a Muslim. And it helped him change even further more who he was. Yes, he was a Muslim, but he embraced everybody when he died. He spoke about his religion as anybody is allowed to. But he didn't turn white people away or Asians away. He found a love and respect for them. That's what people don't understand about Malcolm X. That's the person you want on a fucking poster. So you can see that change. The only problem is people are so stuck in their ways or their thought that they don't want to see that. They don't want to acknowledge that about him. So the racial incidents happened a lot last year. No one did anything. A lot of people in the community said that we were aggressive. We needed to let it go. You know, they're just kids. It's a part of life. For who? Whose life is it a part of? Besides the kids that are being targeted, it's not a part of anyone else's life. But the parents, we have to deal with it. We have to fix it. The kids did their part by speaking up. And so did we. The parents started to speak at school board meetings. We were pissed. You know, we were upset that our kids wasn't taken care of. And it was a statement that was thrown around that we need to meet the community where they are. So because of last year, we hate that statement. There's no such thing as meeting the community where they are, but you have a group of kids that are being hurt by things done by the community. But these kids are also a part of the community. So if you're meeting them where they are, the community where they are, you have to meet both sides. And being silent is not an option for us. It's not an option for us. So we didn't get that much support from the community. We didn't get much support for neighboring communities. And we went through this all that school year, you know, and it's affected kids, you know. It has affected kids. Some kids will never be the same because of it. And I pray for them all the time, you know, because it's not their fault that they were born black. You know, it's not a punishment for them being black. There's nothing different from them being black and someone else being a different race. It's not. But people felt like we were out of line for speaking up. I have a podcast talking about Roar, and these situations is what developed Roar. Because as parents, we were tired of it. And everybody that's a part of Roar are not parents that were affected by the racism, but they are also parents who want to see a change, or community members who want to see a change. No one understood that. No, not that they didn't understand. They didn't care. Because all you had to do was care and you would have understood. You would have understood even a little bit. And when it would have helped you see that there's things that needed to be done. You know, people made Facebook pages because, you know, we wanted the principal to get fired, or we wanted the principal to not be a principal. We wanted somebody that could be in a better position to help the kids, you know. And, you know, there's other situations. Our kids were affected, you know, and this is our community. Chaska is our home just as much as it is for anybody else. So during that time, you know, we started speaking at school board meetings. And one thing you'll never take away from me is the passion and love I have for kids in general. because people don't speak up the way that they should for kids. People don't protect kids the way that they should. We see too many things happening to kids, and it should not be happening. We need to care more about all kids, period. I don't want my kids targeted with racism, but I don't want your kids targeted with racism. I don't want your kid to say anything offensive to my kid. I don't want my kid to say anything offensive to your kid. I need them to acknowledge it if they do, and move on like kids should, I am a peaceful person most of the time. I speak from a genuine place all the time. Well, not all the time. If I get mad or upset, I speak from emotion, and a lot of times it's not what I want to say or how I feel. It's just me speaking on emotion or anger or whatever. So I try very hard not to speak from that place. In June, the school board decided on a referendum. It's fine. It's cool. I didn't follow it too much at first. I was working hard. I was working Sunday through Wednesday, sometimes Monday and Tuesday, and a lot of my nights went late. So I'm supposed to get off work at 6 sometimes. I don't get off till 9:30 or 10 o'clock. But that's how that was. So the referendum come, and, we're at this point, we have updates. We have things that the district want to work on to become a better district, which one of them was equity. So people say, why equity and not equality? So the main thing about equality that people will not admit to, the United States has never seen equality, ever, not ever. Not in 1 year, day, week. The United States has never seen equality because people don't like equity. Equity is not a big thing, whereas I am allowing my kids to be treated better while your kids are up here, but we're going to bring them down here. That's not what equity is at all. Equity is having those kids that are down here be able to move up more progressively in a better way. The kids that are up there will keep getting pushed up. Not pushed up on the sense of better than this kid or worse than this kid. Just given the tools that they need to succeed. And, people make it about race, and it's not. It's not 100% about race. Equity is about understanding some of the problems that different races have that hinders some of their learning. And it has absolutely nothing to do with demeaning or treating someone better than the other. The kids that are already getting treated the way that they should, they'll keep getting treated that way. But we want the other kids to be treated that way as well. And no one's world does that have to include bringing someone down or not looking at them that way. In no one's world should that be a possibility. And it's not. That's not what equity is. But people are stuck on that. So the district got equity. Then they got the Equity Advisory Council. A lot of us are ROY members. But a lot of us are the ones that are doing the work that care about the kids. Racism showed its ugly face here in Chaska against us. So we fought against it. And with Roar, that's our main priority, to make sure that racism is not affecting our kids. We want racism out of this community, completely gone. I'll speak for myself, just because I can't really speak out of saying what somebody else is thinking right now. So I can give you equality. I don't look at me as any better or any worse as anybody else. I don't think my thought process is any better or any worse than anyone else's. I don't think anything about me is any better or any worse than anything about anyone else. To me, I see and treat people I treat everybody the same. Everybody. And I've shown that in this community. So we had people that didn't agree with a survey that came out. I didn't see the survey. Some of the questions, I don't agree with the way the district handles some things. And that's why I'm on the Equity Advisory Council. That's why I'm on the Parent Advisory Council. So I can be a part of change and give a good, unemotional advising. Because I'm not just thinking about my kids or my neighbor's kids. I'm thinking about everyone's kids. I literally think about everyone's kids, and I talk about, if I speak about kids, I'm not speaking about black kids or white kids. I'm speaking about kids. No one is more valuable than the other, We have different gifts that all can help this place be better. But we have to accept those gifts from each other. And the places that I lack, you help build me up. And the places that you lack, I help build you up. That's how community is. So let me keep going. In July, I fell off a telephone pole, broke my wrist, 30 feet, 35 feet, whatever. And I was able to start being a part of the community more. I was able to go to school board meetings more. I was able to do more projects more, or show up more. Or I was able to do a lot more. And, I found a real passion inside of this place called Chaska, or District 112, or, Carver County. I found a real passion here within these last 4 months. I started to speak at the school board meetings, and more and more people started to hear my voice, or hear the way I speak, or hear what I was saying. And, I'm grateful. I wish people would have started to hear it last year when it was directly affecting my family. I wish people would have heard it then, But you take what God gives you. Maybe that wasn't the time that He wanted people to hear me, or maybe that wasn't the time where He needed people to understand me. So all summer, at the start of the school year, I speak at school board meetings every month. And, more and more people started to hear me. I started to get a lot of Facebook messages thanking me for my positivity and, turning conversations around. We had a Facebook page that was known to be pretty negative. And, I just made a post telling people what I think about Chaska, and I was expecting like bad comments because, I mean, you make a post like that, you get bad comments. But the outcome was positive. It was huge. I think it had over 200 likes and over 200 comments, and all of them were good. You know, that showed me that Chaska can be what I always thought it could be, or what I know it can be. You know, still arguments in it every once in a while, but it's never like it was. It's not nowhere near as negative as it was, you know, and I love this place. With me falling, I developed PTSD from the fall. And, you know, I've dealt with that since the fall. And the outreach and the support from this community here has been amazing. It has been amazing, like every step of the way. My group, Roar, I didn't tell them how bad it was for me until like maybe August, you know, and people were crying. People came up and hugged me right away. I got cards in the mail. That was the first wave of support. And they've always been supportive. They've always been supportive. But then the community started to reach out to me more and more. So I don't consider myself a Democrat or Republican, but people may assume I'm a Democrat, and that's fine. You can think what you want. But we had people that would come and speak against the referendum, speak against equity without understanding what equity was in our district. They kept comparing us to other districts, other communities. But one thing you got to know about your community, it's always different than any other community. Always. And Chaska, Carver County, District 112, is different than any other community. I'm not saying we're better. I'm not saying we're worse. I'm saying we're different. And that makes me feel good about where I live, because we are different. I'll own that every step of the way. So I can't be mad at people for speaking against the referendum. Just some of the tactics that they use to get people to be against the referendum was not something that I believe in, or not something that I would even personally do, because I don't think that a fight should be fought that way. You know, it was pretty dirty. But the referendum didn't pass, so shit, they did something right. No, they were persistent, you know, and they traveled in groups. But this community, like, I started to get more and more people to listen to me. And then I started getting messages on Facebook. And then I started to get people that was at the school board meetings that would ask if they could talk to me right then and there. I'll never turn down a conversation, ever. I'll never turn down a conversation. But we talked, and we talked so long that the school board meeting was over, and we were still in there talking. You know, I'm not sure what came out of that situation, because I haven't spoke to them again. But that wasn't the first time, and it wasn't the last time that someone from that side has approached me. You know, there was an older guy who approached me. I was getting some water, and he told me that he heard me speak the month before, you know, and he thanked me for being a person that cared about and spoke about the kids. and speaking from a genuine place. I appreciate that. I really do. You know, I will always come to a child's defense if I think something is done wrong or being said wrong. And I'm not saying that he did. I'm not saying that at all. I appreciate what he did, you know. That wasn't the last time either. You know, people have approached me, left me Facebook messages, and it continues to happen. And, you know, I'll encourage people, continue to do it, you know, because I don't know if you need a different point of view unless you tell me. But I'm willing to give it to you. Now, I don't care what you do with the information that I give you after we talk, but you'll have that information from my perspective. And it'll be different than a lot of people's. You know, my wife tell me I'm a different man than everybody, any other man. She say there's men and then there's me. I don't believe that. I don't think there is, you know, but she sees me in a way that she hasn't seen anyone else, you know, and I appreciate her for saying that. But outside of that, you know, the referendum didn't pass and teachers thank me, community thank me. Whenever we have a grouping thing or like outing or it's a bunch of community out, I get people that come up to me and say, hey, are you Dante from the Facebook page? It's like, yeah, that's me. It happened yesterday. We had this thing called Marnita's Table, and it happened yesterday. And my kids were like, Dad, you're famous. And they've been saying that for a while. But yesterday it was like, yeah, you're famous. It just proves it here tonight. It proves it. I'm like, what proves it? They're like, everybody's walking up to you asking you, are you Dante from Facebook? She like, who approaches someone like that? Who says that? I'm like, well, that's where they know me from. That's where they see me speak. And like, and you say you're not famous. It's like, how many conversations have you had tonight? I had a lot of conversations, but I like to talk as well. So that has something to do with it. But I get a lot of love from this community. Last month, I had 2 family members that passed in a day of each other. There's a different side of the families. So the funeral was actually on the same day. So I went to my uncle's funeral, then I went to my cousin's funeral. The amount of support and love I got from this community is amazing. Now, on my previous podcast, I talked about brownies and chips and case of water. Someone cashed out me money, you know, and I'm not the type of person that take gifts or things like that, you know, so it took so much in me to say, okay, yes, you can. Those brownies were so good. Oh my God, those brownies were so good. Nancy, I hope you hear this. Those brownies were good. Yes, those brownies were awesome. Yeah, oh my God. So, you know, I got messages the whole time I was gone. I told people that I wouldn't be on Facebook that much because of what I was going through. And, you know, it was so much love, so much support. Everybody has been asking, is this something that they could do? Is it something that I need? Now, I'm not in the habit of saying what I need, you know, because sometimes I just don't want to. You know, I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it was hard for me to say yes to even brownies and water and chips, you know, and have somebody send me a message asking if they can send me money, and I wanted to say no so bad. I wanted to say no so bad. I've been off work for 3.5 months at 60% of my paycheck. 60% of my paycheck. My insurance is almost $700 a month. That's like health insurance and life insurance and everything. I made less than half of what I originally made. For 4 months, we struggled with that. So not only did I fall and break my wrist, my left wrist, I was making so much more less money than what I was making before. I am so curious to see what my wife and I made this year versus last year. I'm pretty sure it'll be cut in half. I am pretty sure about that. But Roar, and I'm not sure how many people it got to, or who it got to, or who it didn't get to. But I did. I needed help. You know, I did. I needed help. I've been needed help. I was given the opportunity a few months ago, and, you know, I said I didn't need anything, that I had it. And, you know, I did take a loan on my 401k, and that held us for a minute. But my wife, she still works, so that helps as well. We just didn't have the income that I would bring in. So I would get like commissions from upgrading customers or changing their package. I would get bonuses every quarter, and I won't get one. I don't get my progression raises anymore because I've hit my progression at the highest level that I can go. Yeah, so things were different. Things had changed. But they raised money for me, for my family, you know, to help us out. And I appreciate that so much. Roar, Chaska, Carver, Chanhassen, Victoria, wherever anyone is from that helped out during this whole time, whether it was a conversation, words of encouragement, helping out with money, offering things, I appreciate all of you so much. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I have never seen community engagement like this before. I've never been a part of it. I am so grateful and so thankful that God has put my family here. And we have what we have. You know, we don't have the best of everything, but we have the best of each other. And that's all I can ever ask for. I speak so much peace into the community because that's what I believe in. I speak so much unity into the community because that's what I believe in. You know, the way that everybody came together and been so supportive and loving for me, I want that for everyone in this community. Like, I want everyone to have this, you know. I want everyone to see what Chaska is. You know, I want them to see Chaska from my eyes, you know. I want them to feel what I felt from Chaska. It hasn't always been good, but it hasn't always been bad. And that is why I called Chaska, or this community, a family. Because, yes, we had a really bad year last school year. Like a family, we fought. Not physically, but we fought, you know. And for me, and this is not from everybody within Roar as well, because I know everybody hasn't had this support that I have, so this is just my personal account. But I wish that everybody could get this. I wish everybody could see this. Like, this is for us. I love all of you so much because of what you have shown me. My son everybody loves him here. Everybody loves my twins here. Like, people love my kids, and their kids, they make mistakes. They haven't really made any big mistakes like that. But, they are their kids. But I'm hard on my kids when they make mistakes. But I also have to talk to them about why I'm so hard on them. I expect greatness out of all of my kids, all of them. But I don't push them to a place where they can't return, or it just seems like I'm an angry dad or a pissed off parent. I don't show my kids that. If I'm upset, I'm upset. I want them to see that. But I have to explain to them sometimes why I'm upset. And that's fair. You don't just yell at a kid for no reason and not tell them why you're angry. You don't assume that they should just know. One thing that I did that I'm not sure if too many people know about, but I don't know which kids were behind the racist things that happened last year. But I sent the equity director, the superintendent, and the principal at the high school an email, all the same email. And I wanted them to check on the kids that were behind the racist incidents last year. And it's because I value kids. I know what they can be if we put them in a position to be that way. So I didn't tell them to make sure that it came from me or anything. I just wanted them to check on those kids to make sure that they were okay. If those kids left the district, if you have a contact piece of information, can you please just check on them to see if they're okay? Make sure that they wasn't affected too much by the consequences or some of the things that they may have heard, because they are still kids. They are still kids. And we have to make sure that they are okay. Just because they do something wrong don't mean we just send them out into the world without any type of guidance. We still need to be there for them. Just like we are there for all the other kids. It's our duty. But Chaska has shown me so much support, so much love. I've had people say I should run for president, I should run for mayor. I hate politics, man. I hate politics, the conversations and the fights that happen like between parties is ridiculous to me. I think everybody should be able to have a civil conversation or a civil disagreement, and that's just not where this country is right now. So America's not great. It'll never be great until we can honestly start seeing each other as one. That's why I am against people speaking on equality. Some people may have it. Some people can see equality for what it is. But equality is not something that this country is used to as a whole. And it never has been. There's never been a time where the country was equality based. Not once. And this year, next year won't be any different unless we as the citizens that live here start to change us. Start having conversations with our neighbors. Start having conversations with different races to understand them better. grow that love for each other and grow that respect for each other, then maybe we can become great. But until then, all we'll be is a country. That's it. And equity actually leads to equality, because it takes those barriers down. That stops equality. Equality cannot be had if you can't see the potential in everybody. Or if you see somebody and you say because they're from this place or they're this nationality that they can't achieve this goal. Until you take all of that out, there can be no equality. It's not possible. And if you're speaking on equality, there is a good chance that you don't have it yourself. You know, and I could be wrong about that. So don't get upset. I could be wrong about that. But if you're speaking on equality, you can't just speak from your eyes. Like I said, I could see equality, but I'm a part of the rest of the country just as well. Just because I can see it don't mean that we have it. We don't. But we need to get there. And this community, I love you. And I thank you for everything that you all have done for me and my family and all the love and support that you have given us. It's been ongoing and it's been consistent. Thank you so much for being a part of our lives and allowing us to be a part of yours.